Can we get any more divided than we are now? Some suggest that we are probably at our most divisive period since the Civil War, even more so than the outrage during the Vietnam War. Some suggest this is our second most divisive period in history. And it could ultimately lead to a civil war if you ask the wrong person. I'm not so sure, but I do want to run a few things by you. Certainly there's been 3 cases that have allegedly divided a large group of people, probably in the last 2 to 3 weeks in this presidential campaign. What are those 3 things? One, a protester yelling out "Jesus is Lord" at a Kamala Harris rally, leading many on the right to say, because she stated in response to that person yelling, "You got the wrong rally. You want the smaller one down the street." So folks are suggesting because she denounced someone yelling something in regards to Christianity, she hates God. There are folks on the right that are saying Kamala Harris hates God. Clearly that could cause some division between the Democrats under Kamala Harris and many Christian groups. We'll talk about that. Number 2, obviously the comedian at the Madison Square Garden rally stating that Puerto Rico is a floating island of garbage. I get it. He's just a comedian. He's hired to tell jokes. That's what they do. The Democrats are taking it too far. We'll talk about that. Last but not least, President Biden just yesterday gets on television and refers to Trump and his supporters as garbage. Damn near half of the voters in this country calling them garbage all at once. Kamala Harris has tried to walk back the comment, suggesting that she has nothing to do with it. We'll talk about that as well. First, let's get into it. Kamala Harris responding to somebody yelling "Jesus is Lord" and telling them you got the wrong rally, indicating you're not welcome here. Does that mean she hates God? Now, I got to tell you, on all 3 of these, the opposing side, the side that is being criticized for doing this, or the one that's, whether it's the comedian, whether it's Jesus is Lord, or Biden calling Trump supporters garbage, one side is saying that means this about you. The other side is saying it's not as bad as you're suggesting. I want to propose to you this. In any of these situations, if the situation was reversed, the other side would do the same thing. Imagine that comedian being hired by the Kamala Harris administration to say that same joke at a Democrat rally. You think MAGA and Trump would just laugh that off? Ha, 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 it's fun. No. You don't think they would suggest that this shows that Democrats hate Hispanics, do not like Puerto Ricans? You really don't think that as smart as Trump is, he wouldn't seize on that opportunity? He was just in Green Bay, Wisconsin yesterday in a well-painted, outfitted garbage truck with the MAGA logo on the side after Biden suggested that Trump and his supporters are garbage. Very intelligent of Trump. He would have absolutely seized on that opportunity if someone at a Democrat rally suggested that Puerto Rico was an island of floating garbage. So all of this, he's just a comedian and all this, you can't take a joke. Bullshit. It's political season. Politicians are going to politic. If any of these situations were reversed, the other side would do the same damn thing they're complaining about. Now, Kamala Harris, does it mean she hates God? I don't even fucking know if she heard what the person yelled out. Somebody yelled out "Jesus is Lord" right mid-sentence in the way of her speech. And we're expecting her to have heard what this person said back in the middle of the room somewhere. Regardless of what they said, one thing we can say for certain is they were not an ally of hers. They were trying to heckle her event. So because they're talking about God and Jesus, is she supposed to break out into the Lord's Prayer, which is totally off subject to what she was actually talking about? You think you could go interrupt the Trump rally, clearly not being an ally of Trump, and yell out some shit and he would take it seriously? Probably not. The whole notion that Kamala Harris hates God because of what one person said is insane. I would submit to you this. You could probably go yell out "Jesus is Lord" at some churches in the middle of a pastor giving an important speech, and he may tell you you're not welcome here. That's not what you're supposed to do. Just yell out some shit in the middle of a speech. Nothing to do with her hating God. It was inappropriate for the person to do it, and that was the intention, is to be inappropriate, to show Kamala Harris up for her stance on abortion, which goes against the Bible, her stance on LGBT and trans rights, which goes against the Bible, suggesting her whole administration is a damn sin. That was the intention. That was not an ally of Kamala Harris yelling that out. So we'll leave it at that. In regards to Biden calling all of MAGA garbage, inappropriate as hell. A president calling a large amount of his constituents as garbage, not appropriate. Shout out to Kamala Harris for trying to roll it back, but I get what MAGA's doing. If the situation was reversed, Trump called all the liberals or progressives or Democrats garbage, they'd be all over it too. I can't hate on the Republicans for seizing on it. However, let's be clear. Biden was responding to the statement that was made at that Madison Square Garden rally and stated, I don't see any garbage in this room other than Trump and his supporters. He is calling a large portion of the voting electorate garbage. There's no denying that. But let's not pretend like Trump supporters are hardworking Americans just going to work every day, trying to be patriotic and invest in the elections and the politics of this country, and he just attacked them for no damn reason at all. Any Trump gathering you go to, whether it's in person or on social media, there is no shortage of insults about Biden. He's sleepy, he's corrupt, he's taking money from the Ukraine, he sniffs kids, he's a pedophile. The list is endless. Those are the people he called garbage. I don't defend the garbage claim, but I am trying to make the point is he didn't lose no votes by calling that group garbage. There was no one in that group that were going to vote for him any damn way. It's inappropriate, but he was not going to get any votes. And by the way, Biden's not running for office to begin with. So they're trying to tie Biden's comment to Kamala Harris, which I don't know how that works, because they're suggesting you shouldn't tie the comedian's comment to Trump. So I don't know, but keep in mind, Trump hired the comedian. Kamala Harris did not hire Biden. And she also immediately separated herself from Biden's comments and said that they were inappropriate and she don't condone them. Trump took his own sweet time to even speak out about the comedian. So I don't like what Biden did, but yeah, I don't believe Biden lost any votes because the group he called garbage were not going to vote for his administration or support Kamala Harris any way, shape, or form. Last but not least, Puerto Rico is an island, floating island of garbage. Did that cost any votes? My analysis, hell yeah. You got folks, well-known Puerto Ricans, some of the most well-known, like Bad Bunny and Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony speaking up. There was I can't think of the name of the Puerto Rican entertainer that was MAGA, showed up at a Trump rally on behalf of Trump. And even that entertainer is now saying they're not voting for Trump anymore. So it's that one, out of all three of the things I just mentioned, Jesus is Lord and the way Kamala Harris handled that, calling Trump supporters garbage, and out of all three of these, that comedian probably cost Trump more votes than any of this other stuff. Because a lot of folks believe that Trump and his supporters feel that way. Now, that could be wrong. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong, but a lot of Puerto Rican voters believe that's the way they feel. He also talked about, Hispanics, what did he say? They don't pull out. They just come inside like they do our country. Comedian telling jokes. But you do have a right as a citizen to be insulted by something a comedian is saying. All jokes ain't funny. Nobody can tell you personally what you should laugh at and what you should find insulting. Puerto Ricans find that insulting. So it is what it is. I do believe that will cost Trump some votes. Will it be enough to swing the election? Who the hell knows? But there are nearly 500,000 Puerto Rican voters in Pennsylvania, the biggest swing state everybody's talking about. Nearly 500,000 of them. And then there's another couple 100,000 that are Hispanic from other Hispanic cultures. Many of them are sympathizing with Puerto Rico and the Puerto Ricans. Trump only won Pennsylvania by 44,000 votes in 2016. 500,000 voters are in that state. So that could absolutely make a difference. And keep in mind, out of all the swing states, Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, there's tens of thousands of Puerto Rican voters in all of those states. Remember, find me 11,000 votes? Trump only lost Georgia, rather. He only lost Georgia by like 11,000 some odd votes in 2020. There's way more than 11,000 Puerto Rican voters in Georgia. So we'll see how it turns out. 5 days. What do you folks think? Do you think if a comedian, as I stated, said what he said about Puerto Rico being a floating island of garbage, do you think if Kamala Harris hired that comedian and he said the same joke at a Democratic rally, do you think MAGA and Trump would have just went ha-ha and laughed it off? I'd be curious to know. Or do you believe Trump would have seized on the opportunity and tried to separate Democrats from some of their Hispanic supporters? Let your boy know in the comments. As always, feel free to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.